It was a cold night in Barcelona, and Neymar had just finished a charity event at a fancy hotel near Plaza Catalunya. The city was full of lights and there were many tourists walking around. Even though Neymar was very famous and had everything he needed, he liked to take walks by himself sometimes to think about things. As he walked down a quiet street, he saw something that made him stop. A thin man with messy hair and a sad look was sitting on the sidewalk. He was holding a sign that said, "I just need a chance." At first, Neymar didn't recognize him, but there was something in the man's eyes that made him stop. He took a few steps back and turned to look at the man. When the man saw Neymar, he slowly looked up. It was like a shock. Neymar quickly recognized him. It was Santiago, his best friend from childhood back in Brazil. They had played soccer together as kids, dreaming of becoming famous players. Santiago was a great player, maybe even better than Neymar. But their lives had taken different paths. "Santiago, is that you?" Neymar asked, switching between Spanish and Portuguese because he was so surprised. It took Santiago a few moments to react, like he was waking up from a dream. When he finally answered, the two friends were both very emotional. Neymar knelt down beside him and started asking what had happened to him, why he was in such a bad situation, and how he ended up on the streets. But Santiago didn't want to look Neymar in the eye. He seemed like he was hiding something. Neymar didn't understand what had happened, but he promised to help. Even though he didn't know how, he knew he couldn't just walk away. That night, Neymar couldn't stop thinking about Santiago. He remembered their childhood together, running through the streets of Santos, playing soccer, sharing food, and laughing until it got dark. Santiago had been like a brother to Neymar, and seeing him in this situation was hard to bear. The next morning, Neymar decided he had to do something. He went back to the street where he had seen Santiago, but the spot was empty. Neymar asked some people in nearby shops if they had seen the man with the sign. A man who sold coffee pointed to a park nearby and said that Santiago usually stayed there. When Neymar reached the park, he found Santiago sitting on a bench, staring at the ground. He looked even sadder than before. Neymar walked up to him slowly, feeling nervous. "Amigo, listen, I want to help you," Neymar said, sitting next to him. "Talk to me, you don't have to go through this alone." Santiago sighed and then started to tell Neymar his story. He said that after years of trying to become a professional soccer player, an injury ended his dream. Without money or help, he got stuck in a new country away from his family. He tried to do small jobs, but things only got worse. Eventually, he ended up on the streets. "I didn't want you to see me like this, Neymar. I'm not the same Santiago you knew," he said, tears in his eyes. Neymar insisted that he wanted to help. He offered to pay for a hotel for Santiago and cover his expenses until they could figure out a way to fix things. But Santiago, feeling too proud, didn't want to accept so much help. "I can't take so much, Neymar. I'm not lost, I just need to get my dignity back." Those words hit Neymar hard. He realized that Santiago didn't want pity, he wanted a real chance to fix his life. Neymar understood that he had to do more than just offer money, he needed to help Santiago feel good about himself again. Neymar went home and thought hard about how to change his friend's life. He couldn't stand seeing someone so talented like Santiago stuck in such a bad place. That same day he called his agent, Marcelo, and explained everything. "Marcelo, we need to help Santiago. He used to be one of the best players I've ever seen, but life knocked him down. I want to give him another chance," Neymar said. At first, Marcelo wasn't sure what to do. "Is Santiago still good enough to play?" he asked. "I'm not sure if he can play again," Neymar said, "but I know he's special. He just needs an opportunity." While Marcelo tried to find a solution, Neymar decided to spend more time with Santiago to convince him to accept the help. The next day, Neymar brought a soccer ball with him when he went to the park. "Santiago, do you remember how we solved our problems when we were kids? With a ball. Let's play for a little while." Santiago smiled a little and agreed. They kicked the ball around just like they used to. Some people walking by stopped to watch, and they clapped when they saw the two friends playing so well. For a short time, Santiago felt like his old self again, someone full of dreams and talent. After they finished playing, Neymar made a suggestion. "I want you to come with me to training tomorrow. Not as a player, but as an assistant. I want you to meet my coach and see what he thinks." Santiago hesitated, but Neymar insisted. "This isn't charity, Santiago. This is the chance you asked for on that sign." The next day, Santiago went with Neymar to the training center. It was busy with players practicing hard. Coach Rafael Garcia didn't pay much attention to Santiago at first, but he agreed to listen to his ideas. While Neymar practiced, Santiago started talking to the coach. He gave ideas about the team's formations and how they could improve. Rafael was surprised. Santiago seemed to know a lot about the game. He asked him to explain more. At the end of the practice, Rafael looked at Neymar and said, "Your friend has talent. Maybe not as a player anymore, but he has a future as a strategist." Santiago's new chance was starting to take shape. Even though things were looking better, Santiago still had a long road ahead. Rafael made it clear that he would have to prove himself. "This is just a trial. No one gets special treatment here, not even Neymar's friend. You'll have to work hard to show us your worth." For the next few days, Santiago worked as a volunteer assistant coach. He watched the players closely, helped with strategies, and suggested improvements. Some people on the staff didn't trust him at first. "Who is this guy? Just Neymar's friend trying to get an easy ride?" one person whispered. Santiago heard these comments and knew he had to prove himself. He worked hard, studying games and coming up with new ideas. His efforts started to pay off when one of his suggestions helped the team win a big match. But there were still challenges ahead. Could Santiago turn this new opportunity into a fresh start? Only time would tell. Santiago was feeling very unsure of himself. Deep inside, he was scared that he might fail again. He had been through so much already, and the fear of not being good enough still lingered. One evening, as he sat alone in his small hotel room, watching videos and preparing for his next challenge, Neymar came in to visit him. "Santiago, what's wrong? You look like something is bothering you," Neymar said, noticing the worry in his friend's eyes. Santiago let out a deep sigh. "I'm really thankful for everything that's happened, but I'm afraid of failing again," he admitted. "I don't know if I really belong in this world like you do. I'm not sure I'm good enough." Neymar walked over and put a reassuring hand on Santiago's shoulder. "You do belong, Santiago," he said with a calm smile. "If you've survived everything you've been through, you can face anything. Don't doubt yourself." Those words from Neymar meant more to Santiago than he could express. Even though he still felt a little insecure, he tried to believe in his friend's encouragement. Meanwhile, the coach, Rafael Garcia, had been watching Santiago closely. He had seen how hard Santiago had been working, and he decided to give him a real test. Rafael called Santiago into his office one day. "Santiago, I've been watching you," Rafael said. "I want you to create the strategy for our next big match against one of the strongest teams in the league. This will be your biggest test. If your plan works, you'll have a place on the coaching staff." Santiago felt the pressure right away. He knew this could be his chance, but the fear of failure was always in the back of his mind. He worked hard on the plan, studying the opponent's strengths and weaknesses. He spent hours analyzing their past matches, looking for patterns and coming up with a strategy that could give his team an edge. When match day arrived, Santiago presented his plan to the team. Some of the players were skeptical at first, unsure if the strategy would really work. But Neymar, who believed in his friend, stood up and said, "Listen to Santiago. He knows what he's talking about." The match began and Santiago's strategy was tested right away. The defense was solid, and the attack took advantage of every opening the other team gave. The team played with confidence, and in the end, they won the match. The victory was a huge boost for Santiago, and Rafael was impressed. "Good job, Santiago," Rafael said. "It looks like you really do belong here." Even though the win felt amazing, Santiago knew there was still more to prove. He couldn't stop now. The victory had given him a taste of success, but he had to keep working hard. For the first time in a long while, Santiago felt like things were finally starting to fall into place. A few days later, Rafael gave Santiago an even bigger challenge. He told him that he would be in charge of creating the strategy for the next big match against their biggest rival, a game that could decide the course of the entire season. The pressure was on. "Santiago, I'm putting my trust in you," Rafael said. "But this won't be easy. If your plan fails, you'll face a lot of criticism. Are you ready for that?" Santiago thought for a moment, then turned to Neymar, who smiled at him encouragingly. "I'm ready, mister," Santiago said, his voice full of determination. In the days leading up to the match, Santiago worked harder than ever. He studied the rival team's playing style, noticed patterns in their game, and came up with a detailed plan. He worked late into the night, sometimes forgetting to eat or sleep. Neymar noticed this and grew worried. "Santiago, you need to take a break," Neymar said one evening. "You're pushing yourself too hard." But Santiago couldn't stop. "I can't afford to fail," he replied. "This is my one chance to prove that I still have what it takes." When the day of the big match came, the stadium was packed with cheering fans. The excitement in the air was electric, and Santiago couldn't help but feel nervous. but at the same time he was ready to prove himself. Rafael gave Santiago the chance to speak to the team in the locker room before the game. "Listen, everyone," Santiago said, standing in front of the team. "I know some of you didn't believe in me at first, and that's okay. But today it's not about me. It's about the team. It's about showing everyone what we're capable of. Trust the plan and let's play with all our hearts." The game started and the opponent seemed to be in control at first. But slowly Santiago's strategy began to take shape. His plan focused on a specific weakness in the rival team's defense, and the team started to exploit it. Neymar, inspired by Santiago's plan, made a brilliant pass to set up the first goal. In the second half, the other team made changes and Santiago had to think quickly. During a break in the game, he suggested a bold change, pulling a midfielder out to bring in another forward. Rafael trusted Santiago's judgment, and the change paid off. As the game entered the final minutes, the score was tied 2-2. It looked like the game might end in a draw. But then, in the last few seconds, Santiago's plan worked perfectly again. Neymar made a perfect move and scored the winning goal, sending the fans into wild celebration. Santiago watched nervously from the sidelines as the players celebrated, but soon he was surrounded by his teammates and the coaching staff. Rafael, with a proud smile on his face, shook his hand firmly. "You did it, Santiago," Rafael said. The most emotional moment came after the match, during the press conference. Neymar was asked about the victory, and to everyone's surprise, he didn't talk about himself. Instead, he said, "This win isn't just mine or the team's. It's Santiago's. He gave us the plan and made us believe we could win." Hearing those words brought tears to Santiago's eyes. It was the moment he realized just how much Neymar believed in him. The president of the club stood up next and announced that Santiago would officially join the main coaching staff. "Santiago, we want you to be part of this family permanently," the president said. Overwhelmed with emotion, Santiago thought back to everything he had gone through, the childhood dreams, the struggles, and now this incredible moment. He turned to Neymar and with a shaky voice said, "Thank you, brother. I couldn't have done this without you." In that moment, Santiago understood that the biggest surprise wasn't just getting the job, it was the true friendship and support from Neymar, who had believed in him all along. From that day on, Santiago's life began to change. He wasn't just a survivor anymore, he was part of a team that believed in him. He rented a small apartment near the stadium, and though it was simple, it felt like a new beginning. The story of Neymar's friendship with Santiago soon spread in the media. People were moved by how Neymar had helped his childhood friend when no one else did. Neymar explained in an interview, "Santiago always believed in me when we were kids. Now, it was my turn to believe in him." As Santiago gained respect and recognition for his work with the team, he never forgot where he came from. He started donating part of his salary to help homeless people and, with Neymar, started a project to help young athletes from tough situations. One evening, Santiago and Neymar were alone on an empty football field, kicking the ball around and laughing like they used to when they were kids. Santiago looked at Neymar and said, "You know, life didn't take me down the path I dreamed of, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Neymar smiled and replied, "I told you never to give up, Santiago. Now we're a team again just like we always should have been." If you enjoyed this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more exciting stories filled with adventure, mystery, and unforgettable moments. Your support means the world. It keeps these stories coming and the creativity flowing. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.